There's no promises that I'm not gonna get sidetracked, but I think this episode will be on the doors. It's pretty much the only thing left, but there's stuff to get sidetracked. Like I gotta cover these. I bought some plastic to put underneath here to hold the carpet in. I gotta put the sticks in. A couple of little things I wanted to tweak on that, but I'm gonna try and focus on the doors. It's hard, but I'm gonna try and do my best. Oh no, I gotta read manuals again. I hate reading manuals. I like pictures. We'll look at the pictures. Okay, I can do this. Haha, this is funny. Looks like I already did this or started to in March of 22 and again in April of this year, and now it's the middle, almost end of August, so third time's a charm. Hope you enjoyed my little table exercise there. And what I was trying to do is get these four corners to be straight. And I still had this to go down a little bit, but I'm realizing now that I actually put it in the plane, you don't want the four corners to be straight. So what I'm doing is I'm assuming you want them to kind of line up in the plane. So I'm using my beloved yoga block so I don't bend the skins. I'm going to try and get it as close as possible. With, obviously I put the pins in up here. So, bring this out a little bit and then add in a little bit more. Oh wow, yeah, I'm liking that. That looks good. But this one I'm going to bring out a little bit now. I'm not sure I didn't intentionally flatten that, but I actually did it with a 2x4 on the other side and it worked. A little more sturdy. A little bend up there. So yeah, so now this is even, that's even, this is even, and obviously the pull-in points are going to be here, so we have a little bit of tension here. I would probably think that's not a bad thing, make for a tight seal. Alright, so I'm happy with that. Seems to be pretty consistent all the way around. Now, we got probably a ½ inch gap there. This gap is smaller, but that's determined by this. There's nothing I can do about it. But that extends back into the ½ inch gap on the lower section. You got like 3/8 to ½ inch gap around here, and then probably the same there. And the same goes for the other side, so I'm good with that. That's where it's going to be. Alright, step one was to, bend the door frames. Then I went and I found all of the parts, rivets, gaskets, strips, stuff that was randomly placed all over my house, but I think I got them all. And the first step, order of business here, is to put this strip on the inside of the door, and you'll notice that the spacing is not even. So what I did is I basically just measured the center of the door. I think the frame's 47, this was 48, and I lined it up so this one ends up, so this spacing's a little shorter, and then this spacing is a little shorter, and then this you trim off. So this is the center of the frame tube, and this, it's not the center, that was probably not correct, of this piece, but it happens to line up with that hole, which puts this hole right at the intersection of the forward part of the door frame. And then you drill your own hole here and cut this off. But this distance between these two at the end is going to be somewhat similar. If you reverse this piece, you're going to have this hole even closer to that. Really doesn't matter, but this will be more symmetrical. Alright, so what that means is that the end holes spacing will be 2 1/4 on either side, front and rear, and all the other ones are about 3 inches. So I riveted that. Yes, I used wet dip rivets because it's going into steel with the AVIX that it calls for. And now I'm working on these little spacer or trim strips, edge strips, whatever you want to call them. So I noticed that the angle on the Lexan trim edge strips is a little steeper than the angle in the door. And I think the idea behind it is to cause it to kind of bend down a little bit for a tighter seal. They want you to mark center lines everywhere, so I did that and clamped them. And I'm going to transfer drill them. Yeah, it takes forever transfer drilling all these, but I got one door done. In hindsight, I'm not sure why they want you to mark the center line underneath there, because I did anyway. I just used the plastic as a template and lined it up with the inner skin, and they lined up on the center line. But if it was questionable, I would just make the plastic line up. All right, good night. Next door is tomorrow. Okie dokie. Got both doors done. Transfer drilled 40s, upsized them to 30s. These ones here, I think in one place it says to do a 30, and in the other place it says to do a 40, but I did that. But as I'm pulling I pulled it clear off of this, you can see there's one more underneath there. And if you look at the parts manual, that's a longer rivet. So I gotta drill that one out, and I gotta drill, I think there's one underneath here too. And as far as the fit, the doors still fit relatively well. A little bit of tension up here, but I think that's a good thing, because when they latch in, you know, this is where you're gonna latch it, so that'll pull tight, everything else will pull tight. There's the other latch on this end. So it makes sense to me that they're sitting good, but we'll see. Next up was clamping the lower Lexan skin on and lining it up with this edge and that edge, and there's a left and a right, obviously. Oh yeah, now I see it, there's the L, never mind. I was gonna say, pretty obvious which way you want this to bend. The inside they want you to mark with a marker, so I marked that inside and outside. But I think I'm going to bed now because it's late, and I spent the last hour or two cleaning and deburring all of these holes in the Lexan for all 6 pieces plus all the doors. So anyway, for now, good night. Unclamped everything. It's marked on here where the frame is. Now I'm going to peel the plastic back and put it back on and drill them. Yeah, baby. Match drilled them, lined up this edge, and I don't know if you can tell, but from the inside I marked that hangover piece and along the center line. Take it all off, cut it. Alright, so I saw Steve, Clear Direct, use one of these. I've never actually used one of those, to be honest with you. So I tried it with scoring razor blades, scratching it with a screwdriver, trying to get that line, and I didn't want to mess up that piece of plexi, so I'm going with the trusty old jigsaw, and where I put the dotted lines going across the center bow, I basically just put a piece of masking tape next to it so the valuable side doesn't get scratched, and it also helps me get the arch pretty, you know, averaged out for my dog. All right, quick update on what I did. This is the end of the second night actually after cutting that. I also cut the top piece, and I didn't really see, other than the figures manual, about drilling these, so I did go ahead and drill those. I cut this on the halfway mark. I'm pretty close. I'm a little proud on a couple of places, and I put it in there because I wanted to see how it looks and feels, and it's pretty awesome. And next up, I'm going to do these two strips, drill holes every 3 inches, and I think yeah, that's going to be it for tonight. Yeah, one thing I wanted to point out is this obviously arches up over the top, so I'm not sure if people are cutting those off. It would make getting the pins in and out maybe a hair bit easier, but yeah, if it says something about that in the manual, I haven't found it yet. I'll keep looking. All right, so since I kind of was, I wouldn't say getting ahead of myself on that door, but cruising along, I'm gonna now move over and do the passenger door, because I just realized I haven't cut or trimmed or match drilled any of these things, and I like to do this before I forget how to do it. And I also want it to be symmetrical or similar to that one as possible. So I'm going to do a time lapse, and hopefully it won't be too boring, and hopefully I'll come across like I know what I'm doing second time around. Let's enjoy it.